Bonjour everyone, Pantoufleee here today for a new review in which you have the pleasure of talking about a French tank, aka the AMX M445 that you have right there by your screen. Basically, what do you need to know about that tank? I know a lot of people struggle to play that tank because even if it has quite a good gun, when it comes to both the mobility and the armor, it's, let's say, really hard for us to know if we have to go on the medium, on the heavy side, if we have to push, if we have to stay in the back, etc, etc. Don't worry, after that review, you will know how to play that tank. Let's first talk briefly about the statistics before we jump into replays. First thing first, as I already told you, the gun is really good. The gun dispersion is insane, the aim time is not the best, to be fair, for the aim time, but for the rest of the tank you have nothing to say. The DPM is 2.4k, which is even better than some tier 8 already, which means that with this tank you have a potential DPM that is quite exciting and quite damaging for your opponents. For the rest, concerning the mobility, let's say that it's average and the armor is not existing, which means that with this tank, as you have an amazing gun, an average mobility and not necessarily the best armor, you have to play in support, and that's something people don't understand because of the look of the tank. When you take a look at this tank, it looks quite similar to a Tiger 1, which is a tank you can play quite aggressively with, or even a Tiger P, which has the same playstyle as the Tiger 1. And that's a problem because even if that tank looks aggressive, its playstyle is rather in support behind the line, in second line, rather than pushing through because of that poor armor you are carrying. For the rest of the tank, the equipment, I first go for the gun rammer because my penetration is way enough. After, I go for the enhanced gun lane drive to reduce my aim time, and finally the refined gun, but you could also go for the vertical stabilizer. It all depends on your preferences. After, I go for the defense system because I'm not gonna ram anybody with this tank. Improved assembly because as I don't have any armor, I don't need to strengthen it, so I would rather have more hit points. Toolbox because an extract is useless. Improved optics because I'm not gonna camp, I don't need a camo. Engine accelerator to increase a little bit my average mobility. To finish off with eye-hand consumable because with this tank, as you know, 5.5 seconds of reload, so you would rather be able to use adrenaline for a longer period of time, which is way easier and more comfortable on the battlefield. Now, let's jump into some replays. Concerning the first replay, guys, as you can see, we are playing with tier 8. And regardless of if you're bottom tier or top tier, with this tank you gotta play support no matter what. And I'm gonna try to demonstrate you in this replay quite easily. As you can see, I'm gonna show you briefly, we are going to the top of the hill. Because from there, it's the best position with the AMX because your only way of bouncing is through your gun mantlet, which is nearly non-existing. And for the rest of the map itself, we gotta take these positions right there to avoid them being able to push back on us, and that's probably the best thing to do on this map. Every time you're playing on this map, please go to the top. Now, talking about my playstyle, you're gonna see what my amazing DPM allows me to do. As you can see, unlike most of the time when I'm with my heavies, I would rather go on the other side of the map, the left side, the left of the right side, I mean where the T-2064, the enemy is. But here, I don't do that. Why? Because that's not a position you can sustain with an AMX M445. With this tank, what you want to do is helping the rest of your teammates when your enemy is shot. It's extremely important to do that, otherwise you are going to take quite a lot of useless shots and die within the first one of your team at the beginning of a battle. So for the moment everything goes fine because I'm not necessarily the main targeted tank in the battlefield, which means that I can use my DPM, and when you can use your DPM combined with adrenaline with this tank, oh boy, are you gonna make quite a lot of damage. For example, on that T-2064, we nearly destroyed half his HP by our own. Now we only have to get back to the rest of my team, and as you can see, as we played in support, we are not considered a threat to my opponents, which means that I can easily slide around and try to sneak some shots on that KV4. He tried at the last, on his last shell, to get me some shots, and it didn't manage to. And that's logic, that's the power of the AMX M445. You are support, so play as such. Now, there we go, AMX M4, no longer a problem here. We already know we won. I can finally play aggressively because I have way more HP to sustain any shots from that guy, which allowed us to get 2.8k damage in a tier 8 match and win without dying. Now, this was an easy battle because we pushed through and the team played correctly. Now let's take a look at what happens when you have to deal with a lot of enemy yourself. Unlike the previous game, guys, here there is something to take into consideration. The fact that your combat zone is quite small, which means that you are going to get into close combat really soon. With this tank, the AMX M445, you are more comfortable playing at the second line, but sometimes some maps will not allow it. And you're going to see this right now. There we go for the IS-3 Defender. We managed to sneak a shot thanks to our amazing penetration, but in the end we took a shot. And the problem with that tank is that as you're not featuring quite a lot of hit points, you are going to struggle like really fast if you start taking 400 alpha damage shots every single time. So there we go. For the moment I don't really know if I'm spotted or not, so I tried to sneak 1-2 shells, but unfortunately, as you can see with that tank, you don't have any armor because the VK4502A had the stock gun, and even with the stock gun managed to penetrate me like I was butter. It's not a problem because now after he shot I'm finally not visible, and what you want to do in close combat like that is finding a position behind the bush that will allow you to shoot all the targets without being spotted back. It's extremely important to understand that. And here a little bit of a mistake by myself. I tried to push forward to get the T28 and I was not assuming that the VK45 was gonna push as well, which resulted in me taking quite a useless shot. Now I'm still down. I only have 300 hit points and I gotta be careful about what I'm doing. And that's why all the time here, not a single time did I try to push forward with the rest of my team. No, I stay in the back as any support tank would have to do. I can't do anything else with that tank because if I do, I'm gonna get focused because a lot of people are aware that tank doesn't have any armor. It's been in the game for ages, which means that if you push forward at the wrong time, you are gonna get destroyed. Not a problem for us because that 75 did not manage to shoot, and boom, there we go. We killed the boy and we only have to deal with the 3 mediums staying in the back. We're gonna start off with the Y5 ELC bits. Probably that he's gonna have to move from that position because he's gonna be exposed. He's not spotted, but I know he's going away, and I managed to sneak my shot perfectly into his hole. Now, we try another one, but obviously, as I told you, the aim time is really bad with this tank, which did not allow us to get a shot on that poor boy. It's not a problem. We still have the TVP VTU to go for, and as you can see, I'm not trying to play aggressively. But here I'm thinking, hey, you know what? The TVP VTU doesn't have a lot of... He can't kill me in one go, and I have a way better DPM than that guy. So if I push him and surprise him here, I'll be able after to shoot him and to kill him. That's why I tried this. I popped some adrenaline here, and you're gonna see what this tank is capable of with adrenaline. Because we reload 2 times against the TVP VTU, whereas this guy only managed to reload 1 time, resulting in his death. And that's how you want to play that tank. You play support all the way to the victory, and when you're 100% sure that you can carry out a tank from the game, you push through like I did with the TVP VTU. And that's pretty much all you gotta understand about the AMX M445. I'll not advise new players to try that tank out because it's definitely not a tank that is made for new players. You need skill, you need map reading, you need to know what you're doing, you need knowledge of other tanks, of your surroundings, which makes that tank quite uncomfortable to play for any newbie. Hopefully you enjoyed and learned something. If that's the case, feel free to subscribe, like and share, and I'm gonna see you soon for a new video. Bye.